All right, we're getting early. We're getting started a little bit early for no real reason except for I'm ready. I wanted to get this started. This is Wild Card Wednesday, which is different from tactical swimming with the pontoon, which I plan on keeping swimming with the pontoon live on the weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then during the week, we will have Wild Card Wednesdays. Now, with Wild Card Wednesdays, it's going to be whether it's things that are in the news or just some odd stuff, gun related or tactical related or pontoon related for the weekend or for the week. And it'll probably be a later stream, so 9:30, 10:30, somewhere around that time, not only for people that are, you know, second shifters, yeah, like I tend to be, and just for crazy people that want something to fall asleep to. So that's Wild Card Wednesday. So this is Wild Card Wednesday number 1. Here we are. So let's get started. Well, obviously you've probably seen the thumbnail, and we're going to talk about the SIG P320. And to help us talk about the SIG P320, I have a special guest. That is the SIG P320. This one is one that I've had. This is really the one I've kept a hold of. It's my first SIG P320. This frame was Cerakoted and stippled by the great Shane Quintero of Quintero Customs. I've been working with him for years now, pretty much since the very beginning. This guy is a beauty, and it's relatively plain. It just has an optics cut, and then of course, I mean, it's not that plain because of the Vietnam Tiger Stripe, which he is a master of, and of course, if I'm going to get VTS done, it's going to be by Shane. And it is, like I said, this is my test gun. It will be here with us for as a special guest. So as we talk about the P320, it will have a chance to, answer any questions that we might have or defend itself from any sort of accusations. So that's what it is. That's what we will be talking tonight on Wildcard Wednesdays. Another thing that I would like to I would like to give a shout out to Unicorn Customs in Massachusetts. He posted a picture or on his story on Instagram, and it looked like I was doing a meditation session. So if you get it, if you can capture me making a funny face and post it on your Instagram story and tag me in it, that would be great. So during my live stream, this one or any other live stream, if you get a chance, you find me making a funny face, looking like I am maybe going to the bathroom or something, post it on your Facebook story, tag me in it so that I can share it. I thought it was funny, and that just means you're watching. So be it. And just make sure that I get this right. Yeah, New Bedford, Massachusetts. His Instagram is Unicorn Customs, one word, _ at the end. Give him a like, give him a follow. Looks like he has books. His books are open with a 3-week turnaround, and he's got some good, looking at his pictures, he's got some good work. I'm going to have a decal or something. I'm going to have him send me a decal or something. Get it up on the wall or something. Anyways, that's Unicorn Customs. Another thing, after the last live stream where Jad of Rook Customs showed up, well, I had to grab my Space Monkey Rook Custom shirt and wear it for this live stream. So, man, I'm all out. Last time was Tommy Gun. This time it is Rook Customs. What will be next? Will it be yours? If you have merch and you'd like to have it featured on the live stream, and I'll wear your shirt, just get with me. We could probably work something out. My rates are relatively cheap. Anyways, so Wildcard Wednesday, the SIG 320. we'll talk about that here in a moment. The other thing that we've got going on, there's going to be another line of drop-in triggers hitting soon. If you are on the Instagram and you follow me there, you will have seen a picture of the Train with Purpose shoe. And I've built a couple triggers around or trigger systems around those, custom for people, and it's a good trigger shoe. So look forward to that being an option. I will probably keep those more towards an EDC style trigger unless somebody is really interested in a competition build. So you just let me know. They've got some really good colors. I know one of the last ones that I did was the green, ODG green, which OD green with an orange. It's kind of a Master Chief. And I think that's actually the name of the shoe, is Master Chief, or that color combination. But they've got pink, and not just the ladies, but some guys like pink in their trigger shoes. So that's an option. So more colors. It is going to be limited to earlier Glocks that had. It won't be Gen 5 because of it. They're not currently machined for Gen 5. It'll be Gen 1 through 4 and Glock 43. So anyways, that's the news. Also, we'll have some new magwells on the website, a couple other things. So if you don't, if you're not already part of the Tactical Pontoon newsletter, you really need to be. It's on the webpage, tacticalpontoon.com. Sign up to the newsletter. Whenever anything new hits the website, I will send out a newsletter. Whenever I have an awesome code so you guys can save some money, it's going to be through the newsletter. That's the first place that anything goes out, is on the newsletter. So tacticalpontoon.com, sign up to the newsletter. October is almost over. I feel some specials coming on. So head on over there, sign up. So that's enough. That's enough of me hawking my wares and well, I'm going to babble throughout this. So SIG P320. There's another video going around of the P320 having a, it's igniting. It's shooting people. At least that's the claim. SIG, pretty much since the very beginning of the P320 really hitting the market, because the SIG, and I did a little bit of research before this just to kind of make sure I remembered some of the details of the P320's life. It debuted in 2015. So it's been out a while, but it really hadn't hit the market really hard until it was selected as the new M17 and M18 for the military. That's really when it skyrocketed to glory, if you will. And that's about the time that the drop safety stuff came into question. And I can definitely say I laughed at some memes, I shared some memes, and I had a good laugh at the whole situation, just because I am a Glock guy. I like Glocks. I do like the P320. It's not my favorite. And there are a couple different reasons why, which we'll get into as we go through this. So when the P320 really hit the market and really made a name for itself was the same time that this sort of thing was going around the internet, that it was an unsafe gun. And here we are again with another video, and there are other videos running around of the P320 possibly going off on its own in a holster and injuring somebody. So I thought I'd talk about it. And I wanted to talk about SIG as a company, because what most people think of, SIG FC, yeah, Glock guy. The FC, the chassis system is neat. It's a neat idea. I prefer the way that the Glock is set up. Everybody hates on the Glock trigger, and I can understand, and that's how I got into this. I love the Glock trigger now, and I love how simple and elegant the design is. The SIG design is more complicated. And going back to one of the things that I don't like about the SIG, is the way that the 320's trigger feels right out of the box. It's not crisp in any way, shape, or form. It is the first time that I dry fired a SIG P320, I thought the thing was broken. I thought maybe it just was very unsatisfying, and I found out that that is just the way that they are. Which also brings me back to, as I was kind of, I dug my test SIG out of the box, and like I said, I enjoy shooting my Glocks. I like the SIG 320. After 1800 rounds, yes, it is the Generation 5 Glock trigger is I wouldn't call it a major improvement over the Generation 3, but there are a couple key differences that do make it better, and that is something for another video. But I like the 320, but it's not one that I have with me all the time because I'm not a huge fan of the way the trigger breaks. But once I dug this one out again and decided to give it some love, and I wanted to look again over the safety aspects of the trigger to see if maybe there was something that I missed or just had some questioning things about it. I started seeing a couple things that maybe I can improve that I didn't look at before, because if you've been to the website, you know that I offer a sear spring kit for the P320. That's all I offer. It makes a nice difference. And just those sear springs alone in a factory, in just a basic 320, has, at different ranges I've been to, when the what's the Legion? I think what's the graphite frame gripped version? I'll have to look it up. Or tungsten gripped version, which has the really nice trigger from the factory. Well, after they felt mine, they bought some sear springs for themselves. I've had that happen on multiple different occasions at different ranges. It makes a difference. It drops the trigger weight down, but there's also a perceptible difference in the trigger break itself. The other thing that I recommend to people, and it's not one that I offer, for a while there I was going to offer a polished striker and a polished sear setup, but it's not something that I just, at the time when I was really interested in doing it, the parts were not available. I haven't really looked at the parts currently, but I really may look closer into the SIG 320 again. It's almost, they tend to end up being a Glock killer just because of the popularity of it now that it is accepted in the military, at least for now, if it doesn't keep shooting people, and by law enforcement. So getting back to it, let's go back to SIG themselves. When people think about SIG Sauer, most people, they think about the Swedish company. They think about high quality guns. They think about the P226. They think about P210, something really high end. And at one time, that was more of a thing. However, New SIG is really an American company at this point in time. SIG Sauer Incorporated is based in the United States. The P320, honestly, I hate tearing apart the P320 chassis assembly. I really do. It just always, I almost hate it more than taking apart an HK-VP9, which is kind of like the Volkswagen of guns. If you've ever owned a Volkswagen, a newer Volkswagen, fuel injected or diesel, and had to do anything with one of those, there's like 17 extra parts that they threw in there that all connect together. Well, that's kind of like the VP9. But honestly, the 320, I just hate taking it apart. I'll be honest with you. I'm spoiled. I'm a Glock fanboy. I apologize. I'm simple. I'm a simple creature. So The 320 was designed in America. The P250 before it was designed in America. The company you know of is Sig Sauer, that's getting all of the different contracts here in the United States for the light machine gun and all of this different things. That's the American company. The original Sig Sauer is pretty much, I mean, the original Sig Sauer is no longer making weapons. There's the Swiss company that if you've ever looked into it, it's kind of a crazy conglomerate of different things. But the weapon company that you know of as Sig Sauer is an American company. This gun is not some Swedish clock, okay? It's an American gun. And it's probably helped them win a lot of different contracts. The FBI, which got the Glock 19M, was originally supposed to get the way that that contest went was actually favoring the SIG. They really wanted the SIG, but somehow the Glock 19M won. This is just other information I've picked up over the years, which the Glock 19M then became the Glock Generation 5 after the slides, they fixed the slides falling off when they pulled the trigger. So SIG is not that high quality. It's they're good quality, but they're not what you originally think of when you think of Sig Sauer. P320. That is an amazing weapon. That's a heavy duty beast. Okay, it's kind of like what I put the P320 up next to the H&K USP. Now it's another beast. It's polymer, so it's lightweight versus the P320, which pretty much uses a hammer. So with all of that, you have SIG. Basically, they're flooding the market. If you've looked at all the different variations of the P320, and as a Glock fanboy and as a Glock person, if they change anything, you get excited about it because they have a working system and they don't really change anything unless they need to. And it does become a bit boring. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty underwhelmed by the Generation 5 originally. And, they got us excited about front serrations. If you've been following the SIG lineup, they have just about everything. And then they have their custom shop, which has slide cuts, which has custom modules, which has, there are so many different variations of the SIG 320 that I don't pay attention to it. And again, that's because I'm not a SIG fanboy and I'm stuck in the Stone Age with my Glock. But you also look at the 365. That platform has done the same thing. They've flooded the market with all of these different variations. And just, it's obviously, if you look at it, this is definitely an American company. They have literally just given you everything, all the different options. And that's probably one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan, is because you can't really customize it to the same level because the factory is just, they've already given you that. So that being said, with SIG truly being an American company, it does make you think, well, what type of cost-cutting measures did they do to the 320 that maybe original SIG or Glock or H&K may not have done? Okay, so that's why when I keep hearing about all these 320 incidents, it does make me think, this is an American gun, and it's a relatively cheap gun. Now, price for price, it costs more than a Glock to put together. Like if you just take the parts of the SIG versus hey Steven, what's up, man? Talking about the 320. SIG is not exactly the company that you think they are. We may want to go back about 10 minutes when you get a chance. kind of hear my rant about SIG and where they are now. So what type of possible things did they do to bring the cost down, even though really the parts are more expensive overall than a Glock? I mean, a Glock, one of my most popular videos and one that I want to redo or maybe do a live stream on is a Glock overpriced? Because I mean you look at PSA with their dagger at $300, and a Glock is still about $600 brand new. There's definitely the Glock makes good money on their pistols. I can understand, but one of the ways that the 320 won their competition with the military for the M17 and M18 contract was they came in with an amazing price, and it pretty much shut the contract. It shut the whole thing down by coming up with the absolute cheapest. I mean, they lost money on that contract just to get, because they knew once they got that contract, they were in. You get the military, it's like the M9 back, or the M9 92 FS. I grew up with action movies where every cop had a 92 FS. I wanted a 92. That's a beautiful gun. And Beretta, it's a beautiful gun. Not the most reliable, kind of clunky. It's big. I mean, I have tiny little girl hands, medium-sized girl hands, maybe not tiny. And that's a big gun in my tiny little hand. Glock fits really well. The Glock 20 45 caliber does not too well. Some MIM parts in Indy. Yeah. MIM gets a bad reputation, but Indian MIM parts, that does sound a little crazy. I've not had any breakages on mine, but again, like I said, I don't shoot the crap out of it because it's not my favorite gun. So, yeah, they did. And the military had the right to do so, and they really did. They cheaped out, especially halfway through the run, because it's a Beretta parts. I'm sure the supply is not great from Italy, as well as just the price for parts from Italy, definitely not cheap. So yes, there was definitely some issues with the Beretta near the end, or partway through, and they got wore out. It was time for a replacement. And we could talk about it. They should have done a Glock, but that's not the video. Anyways, let's get back to it. Let me get back to it because I'm getting off on a tangent and my Glock boy is showing all over the place. So 320, here we are. Won the contract. SIG is an American brand at this point. They're winning contracts left and right. They have an amazing lineup of guns. I mean, they really do. Not a fan of the trigger though, and that's just, that's me. Even the 365, I had one in the shop for testing, and I did sear spring. I did a spring kit for it. I got rid of it. I'm just not a fan. It has great capacity, but I just didn't like it. I like my 43s, 43X, that sort of thing. So let's get back to it. Is a P320, while it's sitting in your holster, is it going to shoot you? I looked at the safety system. I did. I tried to play with different things to try to, aside from beating it against the table, which I've done many times with Glocks. I've had safety things come up. I've had questions about the safety of my triggers and triggers that I've used and triggers that I've built. So over time, that part of the system I understand. And with Glocks, I'm sure of my Glocks. I'm sure of the triggers that I build because I've been there. I've been through that system. I know that system in and out. The SIG 320, it's like I mentioned earlier, it is more complicated. I am a simple creature, so it does have more moving parts. Now, at first, looking at it, I kind of saw where maybe there was a possibility, but that something like that gun is in operating condition. You've got that gun locked, loaded, no safety. and we could get into the safety tab on the trigger, which I do want to talk about in a moment. The sear can move. If it gets bumped, the sear that holds the striker can move. If it gets bumped hard enough, it can move. Okay. In a Glock, in a properly designed Glock trigger or factory Glock trigger, that sear cannot move because of two safeties. One of them being that the cruciform sits on a ledge, so it literally cannot drop down. And then there's a safety tab on the trigger to keep that trigger from moving far enough back so that that sear can drop and drop the sear, allowing the striker to move forward. So with the 320, that sear can move. However, just like in a Glock, it has a striker block safety. And the trigger has to move rearward in order for it to raise a little lever arm to move against another little ledge, which moves an arm, which allows the striker to move forward. So unless that trigger is pulled, it is not going to allow that striker forward. It's not. However, the thing about that is, and that's saying that in a holster, I don't see, even in an earthquake. Now, maybe if you fell off a cliff and there was enough of a jerk to move the trigger, and that's where we're going to go with. I'm going to go to that next. That is not going to fire. I don't see a way for it to fail and fire just sitting in your holster. I don't really see it being a danger. Could you wear an appendix and not shoot yourself? I really believe so. However, the one thing, and they did change in part of their rollout of the new variation, they did change the trigger. And just like a Glock, there is take up. Okay, that take up is designed to allow the trigger to sit far enough forward and to keep the little lever that activates the striker block from activating. Okay, so in a striker based pistol, there will most of the time from the factory have some take up that keeps it safe. Now with Glock, you're going to have a tab on the trigger blade. Okay, that tab, and if you were here for my last live stream and I kept talking about trigger guards and was obsessed about the different trigger guards, you'll know that has to do with the safety tab on the Glock trigger. Now, I won't go into it. So there is no safety tab on the SIG trigger. It's flat. There's nothing there unless you have an agency. Now, agency arms, and I kind of laughed at it originally, but I see why they did it. And honestly, I think it's a good idea. Because especially there are a couple triggers on the market for the 320 that remove the take up of the trigger, and we're all, we're hot rodders, we're race gun enthusiasts for the most part. I got my car tore apart right now because I'm a tinkerer and I like going fast, and just like my guns, I like to do things just, I want to go fast, want to shoot my gun fast. So a lot of us remove, whether we know why, fully what that does, the travel, the take up. Well, if you remove too much of that take up and your trigger is really light, I could see having an issue, because when you've removed a lot of that take up, you're looking into territory of defeating that striker block. And then if it's so light that it wants to, break under a pound or less, and you get a bump, you might get a larger bump as recoil removes part of your body. Okay. So, and the bullet removes part of your body after, anyways. Okay. So, as it sits from the factory, I don't see there being a problem. They did their rollout for the next their safety fix. One of the things was a new trigger that was lighter. And if you look at the older design online, it was a fairly substantial trigger. And one of the things was it was heavy enough that at that, I believe it was a 35-degree angle that they would, hit that thing. It would go off, and I could see where that would happen because there's no safety tab. Now, I'm not an engineer. I'm not saying that I know better than Sig Sauer. However, I do see where having a safety tab would be a good idea. And I have to applaud agency for putting a safety tab there. My guess is part of, and I haven't played with one. Like, again, I don't spend a lot of time on 320s. Maybe I will more so now. I've kind of got my interest peaked with these. So you could see some more stuff going on. I actually have a prototype of a trigger that I designed. It does have some pre-travel because I kept the safety in there. It's really cool looking. Maybe I've posted some pictures on my Instagram of it. It's a really cool design. I'm going to change a few things on it, might make it adjustable in the future if I decide to go down the P320 route. So there it is. Maybe I'll add a safety tab to it. I didn't originally. So with that, and the agency, like I said, they probably removed a bunch of the pre-travel and added that safety tab to bump against that trigger guard to keep things from happening. And I applaud them for that. I think that's a neat idea. They also made it out of aluminum, from the best I could tell, and most of your aftermarket ones are out of aluminum, which keeps the weight down, which keeps bumps and gravitational forces from possibly acting on that striker block safety and making discharges less of a thing, possibly. That's me just guessing, putting my 2 cents in. What is the P320 going to shoot you? No, I don't foresee that happening. From what I can tell, they've done a good job of building safeties into this. Could it be better? Yes. Will I be carrying a 320? Not currently, but maybe after I play with it a bit more, and no, probably not. I'll just stick to my Glocks. Okay. But we can at least pretend. Like I said, I'm looking forward to ruining some parts on a P320 to try to make it better. So before I wrap this up, I'm going to talk about what I really don't like about the P320 trigger wise. Like I said earlier on, when I first dry fired one, I literally thought it was broken because it was so unsatisfactory. The brake was very it wasn't clean. Now, with a Glock, you get up to that wall and then it breaks. There's some creep and then it breaks, but you feel it. With the P320, it gets up to kind of I wouldn't call it a wall. It's just kind of like a broken fence, and then it breaks. And it's real quiet when it breaks. It's like having a trigger. It's like having a Glock trigger where somebody did everything they could to make it a rolling break and really light, and it's just really unsatisfactory. For me, I want that wall. I want to feel it right there, and then it breaks. With the SIG, it didn't do that. And even the way I have this one set up, it's not my favorite. Let's see here. It does have a little bit of it's got more of a wall than it did when I first got it. got this one running pretty well. It's better than one of the ones off the shelf. So it's not too bad, but I can make it better, and I will make it better. It was so bad originally. It was just so bad. So didn't like it. I've got it pretty well now. I forgot how I got it running pretty well. So I'm kind of surprised. I played with it earlier, but now that I'm actually talking about it and playing with it on film, which I do on OnlyFans for $5.99 a month. If you would like, the link is down below. No, not really. Maybe. So we'll see. I'm gonna play with it. The reset isn't bad. I also did a few things to, and that is a factory trigger shoe in this one. My lighting sucks for showing things off. This is a factory trigger shoe. This is the aftermarket, or not. This is the upgraded version of the. Hey Jesse, you'll buy my OnlyFans? All right. Like I said, $5.99 a month. It's on special, so it's actually only $2 for the first 6 months. So you're getting a great deal. That's a factory trigger shoe on that. I had an Apex trigger shoe, wasn't too bad, nice and flat. And then I had my prototype, and I took the prototype out a while back, and so I've got the factory one in there, and it's curved. It's all right. Like I said, that one feels pretty good, but I know the guy who worked on it. So that's the next thing. We'll do some 320 stuff. I may eventually finish that trigger if I get excited about it. We'll see. But like I said, a couple things to take away from here. I don't foresee a SIG P320 just deciding to shoot you. There are a lot of them out there. There are circumstances that probably happened as to why some people had issues. Now, I could be wrong. This is my take on it. I have been known to be wrong. You can ask many people. If Scott's watching, and I don't see that he is, he will tell you I am wrong quite often. That is my best friend and probably my worst enemy for many different reasons. Or actually, I'm his worst enemy. I don't know. But this is my take on it. Is the 320 safe? I believe overall it is. Could it be safer? Or could some of the modifications that people are doing make it unsafe? Yes, definitely. Like I said, I know it is weird when they're in the holster. Like I said, I'm gonna do a little bit more digging into it, but just looking at the trigger, the way it's designed. Pardon, I'm burping into the microphone. I must apologize. I'm an uncouth person from Missouri, and we are rednecks. We're not good people. I mean, we're not the most sophisticated people. There are a lot of really good people from Missouri. I'm okay. Sorry. I apologize. I really do. Just gonna edit that out of the live. I don't foresee a 320 having an issue. I looked at mine. I went through it. I poked around, did more research as to what I saw. Again, I'm not an engineer. I'm just a simple trigger guy who likes to fiddle with things. I didn't see a way that it was just going to go off normally. Now, again, could somebody make one unsafe? Of course they could. Of course. I have seen in the Glock world plenty of combinations that were very unsafe, and I've seen people carry them. With the 320, the one thing that I would say, if you have a trigger that has the pre-travel removed all the way or very close to it, or you have one, I think it's Aries has the travel adjustable trigger. If you're going to carry it, put some travel back in that thing. And if it's really light, put more travel back into it. Or if it's really light, put the agency in it that's got a safety tab so that it grabs on the frame. But again, frame guard or trigger guard holes matter, and there are so many different frames out there and chassis or different combinations that I could see that also being an issue that you may have to clearance that. But again, I don't have all of those. I haven't done all the research on the 320, so I'll look into it. I will look more into it with the 320, and I'm probably going to keep it out of its holster so that it doesn't decide to go off on its own. I just keep it by itself, maybe throw it on a stand or something so that it's safe. But that's my thoughts on the 320. That's Wildcard Wednesday this week. This is number 1. We'll do it again. We'll look at a couple different, we'll look at something else next time, or I'll update you on the 320. If I find out more information, I'll update you. But that's it. That's Wildcard Wednesday. We'll look at maybe, I plan on doing this a weekly thing. Guys probably going to have told me to it. We'll see. So that's it. Again, I'm going to recognize and bring up Unicorn Customs in Massachusetts. His books are open. That is Unicorn Customs, one word, .net. Books are open. Looks like he's got a 3-week lead time. I'm going to have him send me a sticker for bringing his name up. And like I said at the beginning, watch through the video, find a good screen capture of me looking really stupid, which is easy, by the way. It is easy. And share it on Instagram. Tag me to it. If I look like I'm pooping, well, more fun. The more the fun. Anyways, whatever. Again, go to the website, sign up the newsletter. Glocktober is almost over. I feel some specials coming on this weekend. And more new products coming out. So with that, I've rambled long enough and taken up more than enough of your time. So that's it. Wildcard Wednesday. We're going to try to make it a weekly thing. And then Swimming with the Pontoon Live, that is going to be a weekend thing set up more for, normal people hours, like 7 o'clock. And then this Wednesday weekend thing, or Wildcard Wednesday, will be a week thing. And it'll probably be for people that are second shift or just want to hear my soothing voice as they go to sleep. So that's it. I will catch you next time on Tactical Pontoon. Thank you guys for hanging out. And as always, if you have any questions, hit me up on Instagram or go to the website, shoot me an email or leave a comment here. All right. So Combat Armory Glock 19. I've got a couple. I've got a really good one. I've got it at one of the local gun shops to show off my triggers. Aliens. If you like the movie Aliens, this thing is just awesome. So there are pictures on Instagram, and maybe I'll throw a picture on, just do a post here on YouTube just to show it off. It's pretty cool. So that's it. We'll catch you next time. Leave comments. I will get to comments and emails and all that good stuff. Just get a hold of me. So that's it. Thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll catch you next time on Tactical Pontoon.